Clinton Mayor Scott Maddasion with us on our FYI program this morning. A week early because he's going to be out of town next week on the usual day, so we get a chance to visit with the mayor here on this Thursday morning. A number of topics to jump right into, and we got a list of things to talk about, and maybe a few more as we go. But Mayor, jump right in. First up, I know this is something you want to get started, and I see was looking over some of the things. I think, look at the 7th today, the Youth Commission is meeting. I think this is their first. Is this their first meeting? Second.
Yeah.
This is something you wanted to get started. Talk about why you wanted to get that started.
Yeah. Obviously, we have all these commissions for a reason. The Youth Commission hadn't been used in a while, and I truly believe that the youth of our community, they should have a voice. They do have a lot of great things and a lot of great ideas, and it's important for them to help build the community as well. It's not necessarily up to all of us adults to do it. We need to get our youth involved, and this was one way to have a group of youth that are connected in the community at that level, directly involved in the planning and the process of our government. And we had our first meeting in June, and it was basically Councilmember Obrin is our liaison. He has some experience with this committee back when he was Park and Rec's director, and they had the committee that was live and running. So we basically ran that first meeting in June. We elected officers, and then today we'll be there to kind of coach and help along, but the officers are going to take over today and start running the committee. And they wanted to meet throughout the summer. We gave them the option, you want to wait till school starts? And they said, nope, let's keep going. So we'll have a meeting today, and we'll have one in August, and then we'll keep rolling.
What about getting the students or the youth involved? Was that how did that go? I know sometimes even getting commissions filled with adults is tough. How'd this one work?
This was easy. We have 11 high school age individuals that are going to be on this committee. We just got our 11th person that we appointed in our last advisory appointments meeting, which was third week of last month. So we're full. We haven't started the middle school division yet, so I just wanted to put that out there. There's a middle school division, but we wanted to start the high school division. Make sure we get it right. Make sure we get a process before we move on, because we didn't want to fail miserably trying to do too much at one time. So we're going to work our way to there. But it was pretty easy. The Synergy kids really helped us out. They put the word out. Specifically Hillary Birkin, who had just graduated from Clinton High School. She went and reached out to Prince Peace and Comanche and Clinton and all these different areas, Unity Christian, so that we could try to fill the committee with different schools as well, because you could live in Clinton and go to Comanche and go to Prince Peace, you go to Clinton High. So we wanted to make sure we had a mix and it wasn't just Clinton High students, and we do have that mix. We've got we didn't get any Comanche, but we do have Prince Peace and Clinton High students that are on there.
To presuppose, what do you hope to gain from this commission?
Well, first, we're going to use them to approve things just like we do every other committee. So one thing in particular, our engineers working on our Safe Streets and our Complete Streets project, and that's going to go to this committee, and they're going to look at it, and they're going to vote on whether they approve it or not, which is the same thing that we do with several other committees. So we'll use them in that manner. I see them doing a service project every year. That's one thing that I think is important. So they're going to do something that they feel is important for the community. I kind of did the first one for them this year. If you're familiar with Safety Town, it's been like 45 years or 46 years strong. COVID didn't even cancel Safety Town, right?
It's a tradition.
Yeah, and the town needs some work. We need some new buildings. We need to make it look real sharp and look nice. So that's going to be their first kind of project as we kick off. And we're going to work on that. So hopefully by next summer, not this summer, we'll have Safety Town rebuilt. That's the plan. And there'll be other things for them to do along the way. But also, as we're doing capital improvements planning, strategic planning, anything like that, we need some input from the youth of the community, because when we're working at those quality of life pieces and things like that, we need to make sure we keep them in mind as well.
You mentioned planning. Jump down downtown strategic planning. The city hired a consultant, spending some some pretty good sized checks to hire a consultant with the idea of helping to bring in some businesses. How's that process working? I think you had one input meeting.
Yep.
What are you learning? What have you learned? What do you think they've learned, and what have you learned from the consultants?
Yeah, so we have two different pieces of it. One is the retail strategies, where they're trying to actually recruit businesses to come into Clinton. But the one you're referring to from the other day was an open meeting with they call it the downtown strategies. Same company, just a different division. So we're looking at how we can, bring more things to Fifth Avenue South and the Lions District specifically, and then the riverfront as well, if there's things we can do down there. So it was an open meeting, just kind of a discussion forum for this group to really understand where we're at in the community, understand where we want to go, what our expectations are, so they can kind of go back and start digging into the data and creating a plan. What really came out of that meeting was a couple things. One, they had some really nice comments about our community. They're impressed with the progress we've made, cleaning up blight. They're impressed with the things we've done. They think, actually, for a community our size and our population, that we're kind of above average for what we offer, whether it's businesses or community recreation stuff. So that was good to hear. It makes us realize we're on the right track, right? We're not at the end of the road, but we're getting there. And then really the big things that were brought up for downtown was, more things to do at night down there. A lot of stuff is closed by 5 or 6 o'clock. So whether it's a restaurant or a bar or something that would keep people down there, to 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, which is important. They really focused on how we can repair buildings and reutilize them, bring different businesses in, whatever that would be, and then also the housing down there as far as the Wilson building has had a lot of buzz, so more things in that realm, I guess, is what you would say.
Are you learning something from them as well on the retail side? The hope was to bring in a number of businesses. Had they given you any hints of progress or making their contacts they've been making on behalf of Clinton?
They've made some contacts. Don't have a lot of details that can be shared on that right at the moment. It was late May. They have their big conference where they go out to Vegas and they meet with all these retailers and things like that. But really what they've done so far is try to get a really good foothold on what we have in our community, what we could support here, and then also what's important is where they can put people. What land does the city own that's available for development? Hint, hint, Comanche Avenue, Liberty, right here. Yeah. We can develop all this. And then other areas where maybe we would know folks that own land that might be willing to sell to fit different things in there. So there's been a lot of conversations on that side, because they need to know what they can offer these retail businesses before they can go to them and say, hey, come to Clinton, right? You can't just say, come here. You got to have a plan like, hey, we think you would fit really good right here, and here's why.
Okay. Move on that. Well, let's take a quick break for a weather forecast. We still got a few more issues to cover, but we'll find out what's in store from the weather forecast. Stay tuned.
Check our local weather forecast, brought to you by Van's Carpet Corner in Fulton, with the finest selection of carpeting, hardwoods, and vinyl flooring in the area, plus much more.
Happy Thursday. We are going to track in a few showers and thunderstorms, especially south of I-80 and near Highway 34 for the morning hours. But by the afternoon, that coverage will get a little more isolated. Highs will be a little cooler than yesterday in the low 80s, but still rather humid. As we get into tonight, we'll build in another round of showers and thunderstorms. Coverage will be a little more near I-80 and north. As we get into Friday, we'll continue to track in some morning storms, but by the afternoon, should get some peaks of sunshine. Highs continue to be in the low 80s. This has been your Storm Track 8 weather update from meteorologist Morgan Strackbine.
Right now in Clinton, Iowa, it's 70 degrees.
This look at the WQAD Storm Track 8 local weather forecast, brought to you by Van's Carpet Corner of Fulton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday, 9 to 1. Phone 815-208-7020.
Prices are on the rise, and so is inflation. Van's Carpet Corner in Fulton is towing the line with some fabulous prices during their flooring sale. Get unbelievable prices on multicolored carpet installed over pad starting at just $2.29 a square foot. Carpet and pad for just $2.29 a square foot. Get carpet and vinyl remnants for as low as 99 cents a square foot. Material only, plus get closeout prices on vinyl plank samples. Stop in today. Van's Carpet Corner, 1430 10th Avenue in Fulton. Phone 815-208-7020.
Clinton Mayor Scott Maddasion with us this morning on our FYI program. Let's talk about a couple of appropriation issues. I noticed some notes on this in some of the council meetings or something. First, I guess called a flood study. That may be, I guess, appeared to me maybe a little misnamed, but it's also something that some folks have been working on for years. Tell us a bit about what the city got some money for and how that plays into, I guess, one of the projects.
So a lot of folks have been working on the concept of a North River Drive, which would be extending the River Drive all the way up to Main Avenue. We were able, through the hard work, and I really thank her, of Senator Knoyer, we got an appropriation through the state budget for $650,000, and that is to do it says a flood study, but basically what it is a study to determine if the Corps of Engineers will allow us to reinforce the levee. So we'd have to make it wider and then be able to put the road on top of it, like we did on, I'll call it the south side of the city. So we're working with the state right now. I think July 1st was kind of when everything, obviously new budgets kick off and all that stuff. So we're working with them to get the paperwork in for that, so we can get that study started. We'll probably have to go out for bid for that. I know there was an engineering firm, Snyder and Associates, was working on that before many years ago, so we may be able to grab them again and have them finish it up. But yeah, it's exciting that we're getting this, and it was specific for us. So the money's sitting there. We just need to get going.
Of course, North River Drive has been talked about, hoping to get some federal money. That hasn't worked yet, but is this something that, I guess it's kind of the first step that could lead to more, but you got to do this first? Yeah, you have to do this first, because there's I think it's called a 403B permit or something like that you get through the Corps of Engineers that would allow you to do something like this. So this study is basically going to determine what would be needed to accomplish this and whether or not the Corps would approve the actual permit for that. Once we have this done, if it's a go, then we would have to look at whether or not we want to move forward with this project, and that's a council decision. Obviously, it would be quite the undertaking. It'd be an expensive project, but it'd be something that would end up on the CIP and get voted on by that group and finally the council. Also, I guess we could call it bad news on the bad news side. No appropriation for the farmers market pavilion that's been planned, hoped for, up on the north end of town. It's been through several different designs and placements and ideas, but hoping to get some federal money. But at least this time around, it didn't materialize. Yeah, we thought this would be a really good project to put in for appropriation through Representative Miller Meeks at the federal level. I felt like we had a really good package. We talked to her team about it. They thought it was good. I actually talked to Representative Miller Meeks about it when I was in D.C., and we felt really strongly, about this, and didn't work out. We didn't get it, which is okay. We're still going to go through with the project. This would allow us to do the entire thing plus a couple extra things all at one time. So we'll just have to kind of, I guess, phase approach to it, get the pavilion set up and then start working on the rest. The appropriation would have included restrooms and a couple other things, and then also some upgrades to the Foursquare Park across the street there, which they kind of use in conjunction with the farmers market when they have the events down there. So yeah, unfortunate we didn't get it, but we're going to keep plugging with the project. The funds are there. The Lions Business District raised quite a bit of money to add to the project, which is nice as well. So we'll keep plugging away at that. We'll just continue with a phased approach and look at it over the next couple fiscal years. I know, I'm not sure who has the final say so. The design, I know they talked about it over kind of in the farmers market area. Yep. Maybe over Roosevelt, kind of there by the library, expanding the street. where's the final design? Where are we looking at this? Where's the latest plan? Because I know it's kind of moved back and forth a few times.
The last final design that I heard, and I know that's like a double negative or something there, but it is over Roosevelt Street. So the cars could just pull in, go into the spaces, and then they back up, pull out, and then that street would kind of be closed off while the market was going on. So that's the last I heard, but it could change, I guess.
Could change. I know they've been working on different plans there, and they change depending upon cost and other factors, and so.
And I think that is the most cost-effective approach because less concrete poured and all that. So. Okay.
Noticed too. In fact, I think you're on the committee talking about flags. You may not think about a big issue, but the city attorney had a long discussion about about flags and what the city can and can't do. And I think the end result was the city formed a committee to talk more about it. And I think you're among the city folks on that. What's the issue? What's the concern? Can you sum that up? There are people who may wonder why things happen or don't happen.
Sure. Yeah, it started with the Juneteenth celebration this year. And the folks that were coordinating the Juneteenth celebration wanted to fly the Juneteenth flag on a city flagpole. We did not have a specific policy in the books governing flags. We always just followed the general policy of the American flag, state flag, the POWMIA flag, and then the city flag. That's just kind of what we have always done. When this request came across, a couple things got mixed up here and there. What should we do? And it was determined that we need to have a policy in place. So I'm on this committee with Councilmember Kearns, Oberon, and Davis, and we've been communicating with Pat, our city attorney, as well, kind of working through this. There's a couple different pieces of it too, because we have to look at banners as well. We hang the hometown pride banners and things like that. So there's a lot more encompassing than just flags in this nature. It hasn't been brought to council, but the conversation so far is flags. Any flag that is not obscene or anything like that, that's affiliated with a federal or state recognized holiday, we would allow to be flown. Now, you'd think it'd be simple, but now it gets into how long. Is it 1 day? Is it a week? Is it 30 days? So we're trying to hash out all of those details. Some communities have done it where they have this long list of flags that they'll allow and things like that. So there's a lot of conversation to be had. And then on the banner side too, we need to make sure that we're following that as well. Our city attorney was basically trying to make sure he's protecting us so that we're not getting into a situation where we're I guess a negative situation without throwing examples out there and things like that. So
the things that come up, you've been the mayor now for a few years, it's a couple years and a half. Things like this still surprise you? Is this a surprise you? These topics come up, maybe never thought of?
Yeah, it is. And, I'll admit it's like sometimes it's like something silly too. Like you would think that it'd be like, all right, that's just no big deal, but you have to have these long discussions and create a policy and do all this stuff because you do have to be fair and impartial. And some things that might be really simple may not be as simple when you dive into it. So this hasn't happened a whole lot, but yes, things come up here and there, and that's okay though. We want to make sure that we're doing things right. We also want to make sure we're fair and we're equitable to everybody in the community because everybody has different beliefs and values, and although we might not be able to do everything, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing at least.
And changes, ATVs, golf carts on the streets, the city approved that. Some changes there too.
Yeah, so
what's happened?
The state approved in the law that the city cannot charge for a permit to use ATVs or UTVs on the city streets. You can still control whether or not you want them on the streets or not because the city controls our streets and our jurisdiction. They're allowed on the state allows certain things, counties allow certain things, and then obviously we do. So we have to make the change in there because we were charging for a permit for that, and we weren't doing anything wrong. We were kind of one of the early adopters of even allowing these on the streets, to be honest with you. As you look across the state, I had probably over the last year and a half, 2 years since we've been doing it, I've had 6 or 7 different cities call me and say, hey, how did you do this? Why'd you do this? We have people asking us. We're trying to look at a policy. So we've helped other communities make their policy as well. So we're going to make those changes in there. And Councilmember Shimmers brought up the golf cart thing. I'm still a little leery on the golf cart thing. I was against that from the beginning when we were doing this whole ordinance. But I'm willing to have an open mind and look at it again and see. Ultimately, it's a council decision. There might be a way for that to make it happen. I've been brainstorming a lot over the last week or so to try to figure out how we do it, but those conversations are going to be starting here soon. But the initial changes about the permit and things like that, we got to change as of July 1st. So.
But it doesn't change what the policy. You can still use the ATVs or UTVs on the streets. It just the permit fee is basically the only thing that goes away. Yeah, and the biggest thing too is one reason we did the permit thing is we're going to use all the funds that we created for that specifically for a trail system or something to help out with where to drive these things. We also just like a car and your license plate, we had a database with the permit stickers so that if somebody was doing something illegal or something wrong or violating traffic laws or something, we would be able to pull up who it's registered to and things like that. So I think we're going to continue to do that because that's important to have that type of database for us. Not for the good people, but for someone that's doing something illegal. Or if someone steals your UTV, then we know who it's registered to. So that won't change, but the obviously the permit fee and then whether or not we allow golf carts. Has there been a good interest in that?
Yes. We have I don't even know the number at this moment. We have well over 100 that are registered, and it might even be 200. I can't remember for sure. And the golf carts are becoming a big thing too. I don't know, maybe it's gas prices or something like that. I personally, I don't know if I would want to drive a golf cart around on the roads just because they're a lot slower than traffic, and there's no protection as far as UTVs have a roll cage. They have things like that. The ATVs are a lot faster, but they're kind of like motorcycles because they go at a higher speed. So I don't know. Golf carts, they make me a little nervous, but we're going to have the conversation and see if we can make it work.
Okay. Before we get done, Canadian Pacific, I don't know how much talk there's been. There's a merger underway or being processed, Canadian Pacific and another railroad, since it's going to impact Clinton, increasing the train traffic, double or more trains on the Canadian Pacific track through town. If this merger goes through. Guess what's the city stand? What's the process there? What's going on? I don't think the merger's completed or finalized or approved all the way yet, but I know the city's had some discussions about it.
Yeah, at this time, we're not really in opposition of the merger. We're working on the quiet zones. Obviously, we've closed a bunch of crossings. I was told that in July here is the crew is supposed to be on the ground to start doing the control arms and things for the crossings to make them a quiet zone. I don't know if that's what date exactly, but that's what I've been told. So I know increased train traffic is kind of it's kind of a double-edged sword. Obviously you need things to move across the country for commerce and things like that, but you also don't want to be sitting there waiting for a train all day long every day. So luckily for us, we don't have a large amount of people that are affected, but the negative thing is we have one of our largest employers that is affected by that in Custom Pack, and we have air control right there, and there's a couple other small businesses. So we haven't heard from any of them whether they feel opposed to this merger, and Canadian Pacific's been communicating with us pretty regularly. So at the moment we're kind of okay with the merger unless something else would come up. But we're just going to keep pushing on those quiet zones because that will help out a lot too, even if the train traffic does increase.
And that quiet zone process, that's already underway. It's not starting. It's been underway for a while.
Correct.
So it's ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in like phase 3. We just need those control arms in, and then no more horn whistles.
And less horns.
Yeah.
Not completely all the way, but I know Matt's talking.
It'll go from like 80 to like 18 or something like that.
Mayor, anything else quick before we get done?
Real quick, I just want to say that we're pushing through with the facades and the microloans that we got approved a few months back, and we just received a $226,000 grant for the Erickson Center, some HVAC work and some roof work and things like that. That was through COVID funds through the state, so we're very appreciative for the state to recognize that and hook us up with some funds.
We want to thank Clinton Mayor Scott Maddasion for being our guest on our FYI program this week.